In the grand throne room of the capital, the air always smelled of expensive incense and cheap ambition. I stood at the back of the chamber, casually turning a charcoal stick between my fingers, while my half-brother, Prince Geoffrey, held court. He was draped in polished, gold-trimmed plate armor, parading around like a peacock after winning a minor border skirmish. To the High Lords, he was the golden boy. To me, he was just loud. "Look at him," Geoffrey sneered, turning his eyes toward me. "Our kingdom faces a historic winter shortage. Our outer garrisons are struggling to keep their fires lit. And my brilliant older brother is standing in the corner, staring at a blank piece of paper." I didn't blink. I just looked down at the sketch of the palace water grid I'd been mapping out. The garrisons aren't struggling because of a winter shortage, Geoffrey. They're struggling because your supply officers don't know how to schedule a wagon route. You're wasting half your firewood before it even hits the camps. Our father, King Kieran, slammed his fist onto the armrest of his golden throne. "Enough, Kieran," the king boomed. "Your brothers bring me conquered territories and tax revenues. You bring me complaints about infrastructure and demands for timber budgets. You possess royal blood, yet you think like a common mason." "I think about what keeps this kingdom running, father," I said quietly. "Then let us see how well you run a wasteland," the king replied, a cruel smile touching his lips. "The northern border province of Ashenvale is in a state of absolute ruin. Since you are so fond of fixing things, Kieran, I am granting you absolute sovereignty over Ashenvale." The king raised a heavy, wax-sealed scroll. "You will depart immediately. Take no royal gold. No royal soldiers. If you truly are as clever as you think, build something there. If not, do not trouble my gates again." Geoffrey stepped into my path as I took the heavy scroll. "Enjoy the frost, brother. Try not to freeze on day one." I looked at my brother, then up at my father. They thought they were punishing me. They thought that stripping me of my titles and sending me to a barren rock was a death sentence. But as I gripped the heavy wooden scroll, a cold, quiet confidence settled over me. In the capital, I was choked by red tape, corrupt lords, and arrogant royals. In the north, in the unmapped, lawless dark, there would be no one to stop me. "I accept the assignment, father," I said, bowing with a calm formality that caught the king off guard. "Let's see what the north has to offer." 3 weeks later, the carriage didn't have a single bit of comfort left in it. The iron-rimmed wheels slammed into another frozen rut, sending a jarring shock straight up my spine. We had been driving for 21 days straight, climbing higher into the jagged, unforgiving teeth of the northern mountains. I wiped a layer of frost from the glass window. Outside, the landscape was a monotonous, bleak gray. Beside me, Master Finch clutched his leather satchel like a lifesaver, his hands shaking violently from the biting cold. My lord, the scouts say the terrain ahead is entirely controlled by rogue bandit cells and wild beasts. If the cold doesn't claim us, Silas's raiders will. We have no armor, no army." "We have the terrain, Finch," I interrupted, my eyes fixed on the blank vellum page in front of me. I had spent the entire journey sketching out plans, not just for survival, but for total defense. If a threat emerged out here, I wasn't going to fight them traditionally. I would hide our real assets using camouflage. I would use the steep, sloped inclines of the mountains to set traps. I would turn this brutal environment into a weapon, allowing a tiny village to completely shatter a massive army. The carriage groaned to a violent, final halt. The door was ripped open from the outside, letting in a blast of sub-zero wind. "We're here, Your Highness," the guard sergeant grunted, stepping back into the slush. I stepped down into the freezing courtyard of the Ashenvale keep. The stone walls were decaying, and a rusted iron portcullis hung crookedly in the gate. 50 hollow-cheeked, Starving villagers stared at me with dead eyes, led by a broad-supported, cynical old warrior named Chief Bran. "Welcome to the graveyard, Prince Kieran," Bran said, his voice rough. He didn't kneel. "There is no food. The well is solid ice. We'll all be dead by the midwinter freeze anyway. If you brought royal demands, save your breath." I looked at the starving villagers, then up at the frozen mountain towering over us. The problem was simple: water, heat, and safety. And I knew exactly how to fix it. "Master Finch," I said, holding out my hand without looking back. "Give me a piece of charcoal in the ledger. We have exactly 4 hours before sunset to map out a new water line. If we're going to survive the week, we start by changing how this village operates."